Hey guys, it's Sam and I'm here to do my spoiler-free review for Blood Red Road by Moira Young. This is the first book in the Dustlands trilogy and I read this for Ribsat this month, which is the Read Your Bookshelf-a-thon. So that was the readathon at the beginning of the month that I read this for, and I am so glad that I picked this up. Blood Red Road is typically considered a dystopian, that's how it's described. It came out around the Hunger Games explosion where everything was called dystopian, but I wouldn't even call it dystopian. So this is set in a kind of post-apocalyptic, futuristic world. It doesn't really pinpoint when in time this does take place, but it is about a girl, Saba. She is a twin, and her twin brother one day is abducted by a group of kind of like military militiamen from this world and taken away, and she doesn't know why. They have that whole like twin bond thing, and some other things ensue, and she goes after him on this like quest to get him back because he's pretty much like all that matters in her life. And it is crazy. It is crazy the things that happen in this book. So let me first talk about the world. Like I said, it is like a very post-apocalyptic, futuristic, sort of sci-fi. Like, I don't even know where to really put this book. Like I said, I don't feel like it's dystopian because dystopian implies that there's this like overarching government, very sterile, very like horrible, and it almost is like a utopia within this dystopia. So that is not what this is. This is like post-apocalypse, you know, sci-fi. There's a little bit of like this weird fantasy element to it too. So yeah, I don't really know where to stick it, but it's not in a dystopian. So if you haven't read this because you've been like turned off by the word dystopia, it doesn't feel like anything else that I've read in the dystopia genre. For those of you that play video games, the Borderlands video games, this feels kind of like that world. It's very gritty, it's very mechanical, but there's not a ton of tech. Like, there's not as much tech as there is in Borderlands video game. I'm losing people who don't play video games, but it felt like that. So one of the main world building elements in this is the language that's used. The way that this is written is kind of phonetically and how they speak, and they speak very, very weird. Like, let me try to see if I can find a sentence in here. I ain't gonna let anybody kill me, I says. I'm gonna live and I'm gonna get us out of here and we're gonna find Lou. Yeah. So very twangy, very country, and that's how everything's spelled. And also there is dialogue, but there's no quotation marks. So it just takes a lot of getting used to when you're reading it, but you get over it. Like, I at first was very turned off by that and was like, I don't like this, because a lot of you know, if you've watched my reviews of The Maze Runner, that I don't like weird languages like that thrown in that are very off-putting. But this I got used to and I forgave it and I started just reading it normally after a couple chapters. So it's easy to get into. But that whole language element and the way that it's written is very much world building and very much puts you in this girl's head and this mindset and how this world works, because everybody talks like that, not just her. Secondly, I want to talk about the characters. Our main character, Saba, she is very rough and tumble, rough around the edges, very stubborn, very independent. She doesn't want help from anybody. There are a cast of characters that come in and she just wants none of it. And she's very interesting though. You know, she's not as sympathetic, I guess. Like, you don't have necessarily a lot in common with her, but I really appreciated her very like blunt, stubborn nature, and it was very dependable, and I really did enjoy her, and she does kick a ton of butt, and it's awesome. As far as the love interest in this, I'm not going to say like who it is or anything, but he was awesome. He made me a flutter. He's another like kind of bad boy guy. He's like Han Solo and like Captain Maul and like Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who. I haven't watched a ton of Doctor Who, but I know him. He has that kind of like swagger and cocky attitude with like a soft spot. You know how I feel about these kind of characters, guys. So that was nice. I do enjoy him. I do enjoy him a lot. As far as these side characters, there are a ton of side characters that we run into, but again, a common problem I have with a lot of first books in series is that I really didn't feel like they were fleshed out enough. I didn't really get as attached to them. A lot of things happen to these characters on this kind of like quest, and I just didn't really like get attached to really any of them. But I have the potential to get attached to them, so I'm interested for the books and the rest of the series, and if some of those characters are a little more fleshed out. So lastly, the plot. This book is so fast-paced. I read this in a day, and it is written in a way that you can read it in a day. It's very... You'd have to see the pages, but it's very, like, the way that it's written and the way that everything is divided is very, very quick, so you can get through it very easily. But there are a ton of twists. When I was reading this, I was tweeting about it and saying that, like, this is so original. I have never read anything like this. You know, it doesn't follow the, like, you know, dystopia mold or like fantasy mold or sci-fi mold. Like, it is very, very different, and I couldn't predict what was happening. I had no idea. This is a totally different world than we're used to seeing, and it was just crazy, and I had to finish it, and it was really, really so good. And it also was very good as like a standalone. Like, if I didn't want to continue reading it, I wouldn't have to because of the way that it left off, where you could kind of, that chapter was very much contained. So I do want to read the next 2 books. I'm going to buy them because I'm very interested in the rest of it. But if you just want like a one-off book, this is fine. You know, you could definitely pick this up and read it and see if you like it and not feel like you have to commit to the rest of the series if you really don't like it. So I'm very interested to get into this and the rest of the series. I would give this a 4.5 stars on Goodreads. I gave it a little bit extra because I really just couldn't put it down. It was so good. But there were, like I said, some of the character building and stuff wasn't as great as like a 5-star book would be, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. This is a ton of fun, so if you like that kind of like westerny sci-fi feel, I would definitely give this a go. So that is it for my spoiler-free review. Let me know down below if you guys have read this book. I know it has kind of like a little cult following. Like, it's not widespread known, but it is very loved by the people that have read it. So if you have read the rest of the series, comment down below. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know if you loved it as much as I did, and if I should read those next 2 books sooner rather than later. I'm gonna pick them up as soon as possible because I'm really pumped to read the rest of them because they were so good. But thank you all for watching, guys, and I will see all of you guys soon. Bye!